Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the news. My
Yes.
co-host Waving Hussein and I'm Jay, and we're here to try and stay sane. All right,
Yeah.
so it's going to be a fairly quick one this week. The news has been a little quiet. So starting off in this past week, Israel's parliament voted to ban the United Nations Palestinian Refugee Agency (UNRWA) from operating within Israel and occupied East Jerusalem, accusing the organization of colluding with Hamas in Gaza. The Israeli military controls all crossings into Gaza, making cooperation essential to transfer aid into the territory. Several countries, including the US and the UK, have expressed concern about this move. The UK's new PM Starmer said the laws risk making UNRWA's, quote, essential work for Palestinians impossible, jeopardizing the entire international humanitarian response in Gaza. So I presume we're going to see a lot of pressure, diplomatic pressure from the US on Israel about working with UNRWA so we can get supplies to the Palestinians who need it. With the
Mm.
election coming up tomorrow in the U.S., tensions are high for what that is going to mean for the Israeli-Palestinian situation. In the U.S., two-thirds of Israelis prefer to see Trump, with less than 20% wanting Harris. A respected Palestinian analyst and West Bank politician, Mustafa Barghouti, states, and I quote, the overall estimation is that the Democrats are bad, but if Trump is elected, it'll be even worse. The main difference is that Kamala Harris will be more sensitive to the shift in American public opinion, and that means more in favor of a ceasefire. End quote. And my last story for this week in Texas, a group of nuns have lost their battle with the Fort Worth Catholic Church and have been dismissed from religious life. The local bishop opened an investigation into the Reverend Mother, who had been accused of having an affair with a priest, but the nuns of the order complained the investigation was a violation of their privacy. The nuns' defiance included denying Vatican authority and the authority of their bishop. They associated themselves with the ultra conservative, reactionary, and schismatic Society of St. Pius X, and the nuns were given the opportunity to reunify themselves with the church, but they, and I quote, have chosen otherwise, and their choices have brought upon themselves the different status which is now theirs. So that is my news for this week.
Yeah. So now we have something very important that is coming up from Iran. That's about a hijab protest, a new phase of hijab protests, or a second wave of hijab protests that is being discussed all over the world now, getting much interest from the whole of the international community. That's about a Iranian student strips to her underwears to protest against the harassment that she experienced while in the university from the hijab police for not wearing a proper hijab. That's the problem that she was faced. So now this lady, she came out and she stripped to that kind of to her underwears, and she was walking through the streets, and she was later taken away by the police, and her whereabouts are still unknown. And maybe people are even suspecting that she might even get killed the same way Mahsa Amini was killed, and we know what happened afterwards. So now people are slowly, at least slowly, realizing the real problems of what a hijab is and how the regimes, an Islamic regime, can take control of what a person can wear, especially when it comes to women. So now this is now the new talk of the town. Maybe in the coming days we will get a clear idea of how this goes forward. Anyway, let's hope that she won't be hurt and she will be safe back home. And there's another news that is coming up that she was she was not brave enough to do this kind of a protest by stripping naked, but she was mentally ill. That's the kind of information that is being put forward by the regime, some unofficial statements. So this is what is being circulating outside. So she was mentally ill and all. So let's see how that goes forward. Anyway, let's hope for the best thing to come out for the people of Iran. Anyway, we are seeing a great deal of protest being taken over by the Iranian people for this, and they are seeing this as a second option or second opportunity for them to heighten the the protest that they were doing throughout all these years. So we are seeing that. Now coming to another important news that is from Pakistan and Afghanistan regarding polio, a deadly disease, I would call, or a contagious disease, not deadly, but a what do you say, a crippling disease. So WHO has given a statement that is Pakistan and Afghanistan are the only two countries or only countries where polio remains an endemic. That's what they say. So I want from you, Jason, to share your experience, how this polio vaccination drives and other activities like controlling these kind of contagious diseases is carried out in those countries. Because as a person from India, I would say that even in India, though India is almost free from active polio cases, we are still carrying out this vaccination drive because our neighboring countries, that is Afghanistan and Pakistan, they are still having these polio cases, and that's one reason why we are not able to stop the polio vaccination drive. So, could you share this experience when you lived there?
No, I wasn't involved with the medical side of things, but there's definitely a
Mm,
lot of poverty there. You mean you see it on the streets, even in like different parts of the city. Like I was obviously living in a more upscale part of the city. Um, but yeah, I would speculate. I mean, is it more to do with resistance? Like you've got a lot of very poor, uneducated members of the populace who are being manipulated by the what was the word the the like the radical imams.
mm, mm.
They're always
Extremist.
stirring up. They're stirring up trouble. So I
Mm,
didn't I didn't read the story, so I don't have the background on it, but I would
mm,
presume there might be something because even if it was Islamic rejection of the
vaccination.
inoculations,
Yeah.
vaccination, you would see it across the Islamic world, but it's just
Mm,
these two countries. So I would have to speculate it's got to be much more of a governmental issue or a radicalized issue where the lower, what's the term to be more politically correct,
mm,
the the percentage of the population that's probably living in poverty that does not have a really good education, they're probably the one, and that in any culture, they're the ones that tend to be radicalized. They don't have the critical thinking
mm,
faculties to resist. Yeah, but I mean, obviously, you do see some very educated people from time to time getting radicalized, but it generally, that's why the Catholic Church has always, always been against
mm.
education because they knew what would happen when people get educated. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I would think it's
But the what exactly this WHO has said is that it's just only two countries in the world where polio is an endemic now. So that means that it is much active in that area. That's what WHO says. So that's not a small thing because you know how crippling this disease is. That is, you will be subjected to a lifelong support and other things. So it's not easy to be affected with live affected with this polio. So that's what WHO is saying here. And previously there was a report where, as you said, this extremist activities, they are targeting these people who are carrying out this vaccination drive, people who go to the interior towns and other places where they will talk to people, and they are seeing that as a threat as well. It's not just against the vaccine that they are fighting against or they are trying to stop. It's also against letting these people to talk to their people. That's also seen as a threat to share the whereabouts and other things. So now the number of cases that is reported in the year 2024 is that 39 cases in Pakistan. That's what it is being reported. So that's not a small number. So yeah, that's the big deal about polio. That's a very
were
bad
they were
disease,
they
I would say. Yeah,
Was it all in the same, these cases? Were they mostly in one region, or like we
mostly,
see a lot
yeah,
of in
yeah.
Balochistan? That's where we're seeing a lot of like these bombings.
Yes,
Balochistan
well,
is the region of Pakistan that neighbors
right.
Iran. They are very unhappy with the Chinese presence there, with these
Mm,
Belt and Road initiatives. There was an attack. They killed some. There was a car bomb at the Karachi airport a couple weeks ago that took out some of these Chinese engineers, and it's the people in Balochistan. So I
yeah.
would, if there is cases of polio, my guess would be
Mm,
that's the region where, because it's also the poorest part of Pakistan as well, which is, like this Belt and Road Initiative, like they're, from what I
Hmm.
remember, they're either building both either a highway or a rail line from China down to
Hmm.
a new port on the coast near the border of Iran, as I remember. But this was like I'm going back like 6, 7 years.
Hmm.
Um, so there was resistance to that
Yeah.
from the extremists in Balochistan. So
Yeah. So now we have something from Burkina Faso. You know that country. All eyes on
yeah,
Burkina Faso. Okay.
okay,
It's about a jihadi attack. 200 plus people got killed in Burkina Faso by jihadis. Um, and it's an ongoing event over there. It's not something new. So this time 200 civilians have been killed in eastern Burkina Faso following repeated attacks by jihadis. The series of attacks started on 5th October when a military patrol was ambushed and 17 soldiers were killed. The next day, the violence continued when the armed men attacked the local market in Mani village. It isn't known how many of those murdered are Christians, but according to Open Doors local partners, the area is home to a large Christian community. So this attack was targeted against a Christian community, and this is happening over and over in that area. And this is being mostly carried out by some of the jihadi groups like JNIM, a faction of this ISIS. So, yeah, this is something that can be much related to this atrocities committed in the name of religion. So that's it from my side. Thank you.
right. All right. Well,
Yep.
so that's it for this week, everybody, and it was a quick one, so hopefully it brought you up to speed. Okay,
Yep.
great.
Bye.
So we will see everybody next week. All right, take care. Bye bye.
Sure. Take care. Bye.